There's a moment when you realize you're the only one trying. You text first. You check in first. You show up first. And no one notices when you stop. And then one day, you just stopped. Not because you stopped caring, but because caring started to hurt. Psychology has a name for what happened to you, and the fifth reason might change how you see yourself forever. Here are 5 deep psychological reasons why some people quietly stop reaching out. The first reason is the one most people feel but can't name. You used to be the person everyone leaned on, the friend who checked in, the one who held space for everyone else's problems while quietly carrying your own. And nobody noticed when you were drowning. Psychologist Shelley at UCLA spent years studying something called the Tend-and-Befriend response. It basically means some people are wired to take care of others under stress. Not fight, not flight, just care. But here's the thing nobody talks about. That system runs on reciprocity. And when you keep showing up for everyone and no one shows up for you, that's not weakness. That's burnout of a system that was never designed to run on empty. It's not laziness. It's exhaustion with a smile. And that exhaustion, it's not just emotional. Your brain is feeling it too, physically. Here's where it gets interesting. Neuroscientists put people inside a brain imaging scanner and watched what happened when they were deliberately left out of a simple ball-tossing game. Just a game, nothing serious. But the brain lit up in the exact same region as physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex, the same part of your brain that fires when you break a bone, also fires when someone breaks a connection. Researcher Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA proved that being ignored isn't something you just get over. Your brain literally processes it as an injury. So when you stopped reaching out, your brain wasn't being dramatic. It was protecting you from real, measurable pain. That's not sensitivity. That's neuroscience. But if your brain is protecting you, where did it learn that reaching out was dangerous in the first place? A psychiatrist spent decades studying how the bonds we form as children shape every relationship we have as adults. His name was John Bowlby, and what he found changed psychology forever. Some people develop what he called an avoidant attachment style, not because they don't want connection, but because somewhere along the way, connection stopped being safe. You learned that reaching out meant risking rejection, that vulnerability meant getting hurt, so your brain built a system, a quiet, invisible system, that whispers, "Don't reach out, you'll only be disappointed." That's not avoidance. That's a protection mechanism built by a child who got hurt too many times. And that raises a deeper question. Where did this pattern actually begin? Maybe you were 7, standing in the hallway, calling out for someone and nobody came. Or maybe you were 12, sitting alone at lunch, learning slowly, quietly, that needing people was the fastest way to get hurt. In one of the most famous studies in psychology, researchers followed children for 30 years. 30 years. And what they found was this. The way you were responded to as a child became the blueprint for every relationship you'd ever have. And somewhere deep inside, that lesson never left. You didn't decide to stop reaching out. You were trained to. But the pattern doesn't stop at withdrawal. Sometimes it takes something even more fundamental. Your words. There's actually a word for this. Alexia. It comes from Greek, and it literally means no words for emotions. Not because you don't feel anything. You feel everything. But somewhere along the way, you stop translating feelings into language. So when someone asks, "What's wrong?" and you say nothing, that's not dishonesty. That's a vocabulary you were never taught. And when you can't name what you feel, how are you supposed to ask for what you need? So you stop asking. You stop reaching out, not because you don't care, but because you don't have the words. But here's the uncomfortable question no one asks. Is your silence a choice or a cage? Because your nervous system has two modes of going: quiet, and they look identical from the outside, but they feel completely different on the inside. The first is a conscious pause. You feel calm, clear. You chose this. You're protecting your energy because you know your limits. The second is an unconscious shutdown. You feel numb, disconnected. You didn't choose this. Your body chose it for you. There's a difference between choosing silence and being trapped in it. One is strength. The other is a sign you might need support. So which one are you? And if you chose it, if this really is a conscious decision, then the fifth reason might be the most empowering one of all. Psychology says humans need 3 things to thrive: autonomy, competence, relatedness. Most people here stop reaching out and think you've given up on relatedness, that you've stopped wanting connection altogether. But that's not what happened. You didn't abandon connection. You reclaimed autonomy. You started choosing who deserves your energy instead of giving it to everyone who asks. And that's not isolation. That's evolution. You're not pushing people away. You're finally pulling yourself closer. And when you see the full picture, something shifts. You didn't stop reaching out because you're cold. You stopped because your nervous system remembered every unanswered text, every one-sided effort. Every time you showed up and no one showed up for you, you didn't stop caring. You stopped pretending it hurt. And that's not something to fix. That's something to understand. You used to be the one who always texted first. Now you know why you stopped. And maybe that's not the end of connection. Maybe that's the beginning of a better one. If this video explains something you've been carrying alone, subscribe, because there's more psychology behind who you are than you think. And if you've ever wondered why some people feel completely drained when guests show up at your door, the psychology behind it is more surprising than you think. I'll see you there.